Hey, everybody. I am back with brand new episodes starting now. Thanks for sticking around. If you haven't unsubscribed, if you're still here, thank you. If you're new here, also thanks. And as you know, it's been a few months since I've done a podcast, but now we're back. I'm back and I'm ready. I'll be diving back into this every week. So let's see how it goes. I've got a new studio set up. It's just a new room in a new house. That's what it is. It's just an extra room we have in our new place, and it's such a nicer setup than the place we moved from because it used to be basically I was recording this in our living room, and now I have an entire room that I can shut the door and feel like I'm not bothering anybody with my podcast. See, you'd think because I do stand up, I would not have a problem with a live audience such as my fiance sitting in the other room. But no, I have to wait until she goes out to do this. That's just my own thing. It doesn't make. It's not the same feeling. Like, I could do stand up in front of thousands of people, and it feels completely normal to me. But the minute I'm sitting in a room with a microphone talking to my wall, it seems like if I know somebody's in the other room listening, I feel like such a loser. I think that's it. At least with stand up, it's like, oh yeah, you can see the actual reaction, whether it's good or bad. And when it's good, it's the best feeling ever for everybody involved, right? It's just fun. But when you're in a room alone and someone can like watch you, like it's so uncomfortable to me. I just can't treat it the same way I do stand up. It's so awkward. Also, I would say if there's like a thing that you do creatively that is whatever cool, I think if you're comparing stand up to podcasting, stand up is significantly cooler of a thing to see somebody do. You know, when you're doing a podcast, you're just sitting at a desk talking to nobody. Now I can do this with no one listening. You know what I mean? There's nobody here right now. Or I mean, I often wonder too if like my neighbors upstairs can hear me doing this. They probably think I'm such a psychopath, you know? Like it's bad enough when someone tells you they have a podcast. I get it. Everybody's got one now. It's kind of lame, whatever. But when you are watching somebody do it, or if you hear some of these conversations out of context, it's so uncomfortable. To me, it is. Also, what you guys are hearing is like the final edit. You know, you don't hear when I, fumble my words or say something stupid, and I'm like, I should probably just take that out. So yeah, if you heard the uncut version, it'd be even worse. So if somebody in the other room's listening to me talk, and I can't even do it, I can't even do that in a good way. You know what I mean? Like when I can't even do a good job at that, and someone has to hear that, oh man, is it awkward. So allow me to update you on what I've been up to since my last episode. First, we moved to a much bigger place. I bought a house. Well, a condo, really. A house just becomes a term you use because I don't want to have any follow up questions, you know? We stayed in the city, which is kind of fun. So we bought a condo in the city. But when you tell someone you bought a house in Chicago, there's the follow up questions that you get are funny to me. A lot of people like, wow, well, because a single family home in the city is like millions of dollars, and depending on what size place you want and what location, you can get a condo for, a normal person. I mean, it's still expensive. Don't get me wrong, but you can get a condo for like at least like a something you could eventually pay off. I mean, you know what I mean? Something at least in this reality, even with as high as everything is, it's like you can find something where like, okay, that's realistic in my turn. That's in our budget. You know what I mean? So you can find places like that, but yeah, like a normal single family home, you got to be like a multimillionaire just to get a place like that in the city, And when people know that, the follow up questions, because like sometimes they'll be like, yeah, we bought a house, oh, we're at Chicago, and they're like, whoa, look who's raking in the dough, and I kind of just like to let them believe that I'm somehow rich, but the reality is I'm pretty broke. But that leads to other dumb follow up questions like, well, what do you do? And then you see people trying to do the math on your life. Like, okay, he's got, like, for example, I got no car payment. Sure, we got a mortgage, but I don't have a car. We're not living like ballers over here, okay? Like, I drive a $300 Honda Civic, okay? But the follow-up questions, you can see people like, wow, doing the math, like, okay, well, they have two cars, that, and then insurance, and then they got the, and you can see them in their head. And I'm like, shouldn't you just be happy where you're at, Because, like, there's a lot of things I miss about being in an apartment. And I hate the cliches that come with home ownership when people tell you, like, oh, be prepared. You got to pay for everything. Every repair is on you now. And it's like, no shit. That's like what buying anything is. People like to, it's the first thing they do is bring up, like, that roof leaks. You got to fix that roof. And it's like, duh. And I don't, because unless you're living in, like, a great apartment, our apartment was great. It was in an old building. And with an old building like that comes certain things you got to just be all right with. Pipes they're old, okay? They could freeze, they could leak, it might take a while to heat up. There could be a million issues in an old apartment. And those are some things that we got used to. We got used to, like, a sketchy shower with the shower head on the wrong side of the shower, where basically the faucets are on the complete opposite side, if that makes any sense. Like, it was just so backwards, and I had never seen that before. And, just certain things that, and not that, it's not like it was a bad thing, because we got used to it, right? But those are things you have to get used to or accept if you're going to live in an old building in an old city, and you'll still pay significantly more than what you should be, right? But that's the thing, is we wanted to be in the city. So we got used to all of these things that we didn't have in-unit laundry and all this stuff. And we had issues at the building, but it was impossible to get them to fix anything. And this is what I don't get with the whole, like, you got to fix it if you own it, which I get. It can be expensive. However, there was not one time we had to beg them to replace the furnace filters. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I got $20. Okay. I'm happy to replace my own filter. That's the nice thing about being in the home, is you can fix things right away. Whereas with an apartment, it's, like our neighbor, for example, at the old apartment, her toilet broke at 3 a.m. It would not, I don't know what, it wouldn't flush or whatever. And it was something she actually couldn't use it. And it's a one bathroom. There's only one toilet in her apartment. And she calls this guy at, 3 a.m, who's supposed to be the guy to come fix it at 24/7. You're on call. And he put up such an attitude about it. And she's like, well, what do you want me to do? It's a toilet. Okay. You got to fix that. The fact that you got to, like, pull teeth just to get someone to come reasonably look at your broken toilet. It's not like there was a crack in the drywall or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's, like, got to be fixed. So, like, I don't know if it's just our own experience where it's like getting them to fix the completely valid issues, right? Like a leaky faucet we had for months, and that's some shit I could fix, and I would have done it. And that's what's funny about living in an apartment, is you're kind of like, well, none of this is my problem, but you still have to live with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna paint the walls in my apartment because I'm not gonna spend money to improve the value of this place. So there's, like, this give and take with, okay, look, I'll change my light bulbs. I'm not, like, a loser. Okay, but when it comes to replacing a kitchen faucet, even though it probably cost me $15-20, maybe a little more, less than $100 for sure, I could do that myself. I've done it at my new place already, and it's like, that's like a simple task. But I'm like, nah, I'm gonna get this guy, whether it takes me months, to come fix it for us, because that's what you're paying for, But I've been fixing shit left and right at this new place, man. I feel like a goddamn handyman. But the thing is, you actually kind of, I mean, what's the most, I guess, advanced thing I've done for me? This might seem simple to a lot of people out there, but for me, this was like where I'm like, okay, I got to pay attention here to what I'm doing, because this is kind of an important fix. Put a new thermostat in, okay? And I installed that by myself. And what is such a simple task would have cost me $100 or more to get someone to come here and do it. You know what I mean? And I'm a millennial, which is, we take a lot of crap. Most of it's probably called for, right? I mean, every generation gets made fun of for very specific things like us millennials do. And I would say most of it's deserved. That's totally fine. I'm not even offended by it, right? But, my parents and grandparents' generation, they fix shit. You know what I'm saying? They knew how to fix anything. It's just a little different now because everything I've learned, literally every home fix I've learned from YouTube. Everything I want to do where I'm like, okay, maybe we can redo this tile in this bathroom. I start watching videos and I'm like, I mean, don't get me wrong, tiles I might cave and hire somebody because if that doesn't go well, you look like a huge moron, and also you've wasted so much money. You're better off just paying somebody to do. See, those are the things like that I won't mess with. The real important ones, like electrical stuff, yeah, I'm calling an electrician. If you know me, you know that I am the exact type of person that would die in an electrical repair situation. Yeah, this guy thought he could fix something because he watched a YouTube video and then he touched the wrong wire or forgot to turn it off, and now he's dead. So that's what I've been doing, is I've been replacing toilet handle flushers and fixing fridge water lines, which was fun, and installing thermostats. So now that we're kind of caught up on that, I can finally sit down and record and talk about the dumb stuff that I do throughout the week. This is my mundane life that I'm reporting to you on, and yeah, so much has been going on. Here's something that I've been doing that's been kind of, and this is how I know, like, there's on some level I definitely have a temper. I'm a pretty calm person until, like, for example, someone doesn't know how to approach a four-way stop. That's always the worst, when somebody's like waving three people on and you're like, no, it's just, you're next, go, like, you're ruining this for everybody involved. That, yeah, actually, I guess it's mostly car stuff. I'm sitting, like, if I'm coming up to a green light and the light is still green, it's about to turn yellow, but it's still green, and someone starts braking, I will get furious. Although at the same time, I'm not the guy. I'm not going to escalate this, right? I'm definitely not someone to bring it to, like, road rage, but oh boy, will my blood will be boiling. If I see brake lights at a green light, my blood is boiling. Also, here's something that's been really bugging me is I've been getting, I leave my phone on Do Not Disturb 24/7. And I have, like, a few people listed that, like, are my whatever favorites, so they can, like, I won't miss a call from them or a text, So I have, like, the main people on my list of people that can call anytime. But everybody else, it just goes straight to voicemail. I've missed important calls because of this, and people think I'm rude as hell. Like, why do you keep sending me to voicemail? I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, even if I like you, I probably don't want to talk to you, And then it's like, okay, when I got time to call you back, I'll call you back. And I actually do. But this is especially helpful if you get a lot of spam calls. Like, I get a lot of unknown numbers that I've never seen this number before. I have no idea who's calling me right now. But it saves you a lot of time from just having to answer the phone, and it's just a waste of time. Like, this isn't a person. I don't have an electricity account in Michigan. Okay, you're not calling me about my bill. You're just trying to get some sort of information from me. I hate those people. It's so obnoxious, and I feel so bad for people who fall for it, because I'm like, how can you even? How are you that dumb? I'm gonna give you my soch so you can check my account that I can check online. And the fact that these even happen so frequently tells me it works on some level. Probably, easy targets, like older people who have no idea what's going on. That's always a bummer, because you're taking advantage of an older person. But I can't believe, like, I know people my age that have fallen for scams where I'm like, how are you, how? I refuse to answer the phone. Because, first of all, it just cuts any time I could possibly, give over my bank account information. If I just don't answer it, it's fine. Like, if they really need me, they'll get a hold of me. You know what I mean? Also, in any situation I owed anybody money, it showed up in the mail. Like, the tax, like IRS. It's just never anyone that you actually owe money to. And you can't convince me I owe you money. Like, I'm so glad. And now maybe something happens when you get old where it's like, maybe I do, but I mean, now I'm like, okay, my credit card is, well, I'll just check my statement right now. Okay, that doesn't even, you're not even looking at my statement. So, recently there was a number that called me, I don't know, it was like 4 or 5 times throughout the day. And then beyond like business hours, where I'm like, okay, you're not calling me about a legitimate concern after 5. I don't know any company that does that. Okay. So they will not stop calling me. I have no idea who it is. It goes straight to voicemail because I have it on Do Not Disturb. And by the way, I think that's another thing is like if somebody's calling you constantly, if it goes straight to voicemail every time, they're going to give up. That's my hope. But these people just wouldn't stop. So finally I call them back, and it is some guy and it just says hello. And you can hear the commotion in the background, like they're in a some sort of calling farm. What are those called? A calling farm. I'm making that term up, but you know what I mean. There's like just rows of people just trying to scam people by calling people all day. They try. You know what I'm talking about, though. It's just dudes sitting in a row, probably in India. It's never in the United States, and it's just people calling, trying to get you to give them money. And fine, so I call this number, and it's just some guy that says hello, and this is the thing, because I wanted to try and find out who it was. They're like, hey, you called me earlier, and then I just put my phone on mute, and I just listen to them think that, it's like, okay, the phone, we're still connected, but like, where'd you go? Hey, and then they're like, hello, hello. And then they're like, I can't hear you. And then they hang up, right? And the first 2 times I called them back in a row, because then I kept calling. I just called again and again and again. For the next maybe 10 minutes I did this, because I was like, you know what? If you're just it's rude. Don't bug me. Don't call me, especially if you're like a scammer. You can go straight to hell, okay? I hate these people. So I'm calling them again and again and again. And the first time they're like, hello, I can't hear you. Maybe there's an issue, whatever. And they try and fix it. And then they just hang up. Second time, same thing. A little more like, okay, this is weird. It's happening again. All right. And then I get a different person. And then I don't say anything. I just mute. I just call them and leave it muted. And I just listen to them have a meltdown. And then I started getting the same person in a row. And slowly, they would just lose their mind. The same way, someone loses their mind on someone who, is trying to scam them on the phone, right? So eventually I just started letting them just mentally lose it. And one guy is finally like, do you know how rude this is? Stop it. And I'm thinking, how funny is it that the scammer is now the one that's freaking out? I wish I had recorded these things. Maybe I'll do that for an episode down the line. Is just call this scam number, and you guys can hear them just get furious with me. And I just mute them. I mute myself every time, so they can't hear me cackling like, ha. I just hope I wasted enough of their time that I saved somebody from getting scammed. You know what I mean? Like that was the silver lining in it. I'm like, maybe this is kind of mean. I don't really need to do this, but I'll tell you what, they'll probably never call me again. I haven't heard from them since, and I don't even know what they were. I never actually figured out what they were scamming for. Sometimes you get the cable bill call or the false tax thing, or the famous gift card scam. Do you guys know about this one where someone will call you, convince you that you have to buy these gift cards for your boss or whatever. It's like a totally legitimate scenario, right? At first, and you're like, okay, I got to buy like hundreds of dollars in gift cards. Okay, and so on the phone, they're like, yeah, just go to your nearest Walgreens, buy all these prepaid gift cards that you'd load up with hundreds of dollars. I think the people that I know who fell for this one, I think they just spent like $500 or $600, a significant amount of cash to be scammed out of, right? And then somehow the scammer gets you to read the codes on the gift card over the phone, and then they somehow get the money. I don't totally understand how this works, but the fact that I know 3 people who have fallen for this, 2 of them millennials, like grown, like sane with it, professional people have fallen for this. And then the other person I know who fell for this in their 70s. Totally fair, but I'm also like, guys, no, first of all, this one I could never fall for that, because you're going to have a hard time getting me to leave the house, okay? The minute someone asks me, like, if my mom asked me to do this, I'd think about it. You know what I mean? I'd just be like, do I have to go right now? You know, I mean, I'll do it, but on my own time. You're not going to get me to go out right now and do this chore. That's the other thing, is remember when COVID was like initially, like that initial lockdown where like we thought the world was ending, and everybody was super freaked out, and we were all told to stay home, and everyone's like, oh no, and staying home for like 2 weeks, and it turns to a month, and then things start kind of loosening up. People are going outside at least, and then, you know, now we're back to whatever, just do whatever you want. But staying home for 2 weeks, that was such like that moment of like, you know what, maybe it'll be nice. Like, you kind of have that in the back of your mind. You're like, it sucks why we have to stay home, because this is like a pandemic, some serious shit going on in the world, but you're kind of like, I can take a couple weeks, relax. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't need to fulfill any obligations. I don't have to go to that work thing. I don't have to do this. Those initial 2 weeks, that was kind of refreshing, right? And then people started to lose their minds because they're either with somebody they don't like and they start fighting, or they're alone and they start to just, you know, hallucinate from the isolation, right? So there's like, or there's the people who just completely thrived mentally, where it's like, this is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting to be told I can't go to my friend's birthday party, that I didn't want to go anyway, and this is the best. This is the best scenario for me, right? You just finally have that excuse to stay home. And I've been home probably for the last 7 days straight. I only left once, and that was to go to the grocery store. And it's, you know, because I haven't had to go anywhere. And that's completely fine with me. Like, I realize I'm only 31, but I totally identify with anybody who's got that old grumpy attitude. I would say a little too much, to where it kind of bums me out. I wish I was a little more fun, but I kind of just like, I prefer to stay home, you know? These days, the only time I'm leaving the house is if I'm going to a show or if we're getting dinner, right? I'll go get dinner and come home. There's no second location for me. Not anymore. Okay, we're getting dinner. We're not going to this other bar. Well, okay, maybe I'll go to the next bar, but that's it. And it can't be a loud bar. All right. See, I'm starting to have all these like little personal rules, and but I'm fine with that. I'm actually okay with it. I think people who don't accept the fact that they're getting older are the ones that it starts to look like sad, you know? Like, if you can just accept the fact that you're not going to like loud bars anymore and be okay with that, you don't need to look like you're in your 20s. Like, that's ridiculous. The minute you can accept that, you're going to enjoy the hell out of life, right? That's my assumption, right? But then, you know, you see your friends who are like, okay, we're all 31 now, and I'm like, you know, this person's still going out like they're in their 20s and they're having fun. But I'm like, are they? You know, because then you're only around people who are, you know, 5 to 10 years younger than you. And that can't be fun in any scenario. Like, look, I'm all for like nostalgia and like, okay, every once in a while you end up somewhere where you're like, man, remember when this was fun? But when people like still refuse to like give it up, that's when it becomes a bummer to me. You know, because we all know people like that. You know, in their 30s going to nightclubs still. I guess maybe that's a little harsh. Maybe 30s, you can still go to a nightclub. I don't know. This isn't my scene, by the way, so this is why I may be incorrect about this. But maybe in your 30s, if you're at a nightclub, you can be there, but you're also you're kind of the older groups, right? I feel like maybe older than 35, unless you're an athlete, like a professional athlete or some sort of trendy, cool, like well-known person, like a celebrity. I think you got to let go of the nightclub life, right? I remember I'd say within the last 2 years, since the pandemic, I've been invited to a birthday party that I didn't know I was invited to, and then, your significant other goes, we're going to this birthday party, and you think birthday party, great, there's going to be pizza, maybe a few beers at somebody's house. This is going to be fun. This is what I think of when I hear I'm invited to a birthday party. My mind goes straight to that. And then they're like, "No, we're going to this club." And when you walk up, or when I walk up to a nightclub, or let's say a place I've never been, I don't even know what to expect. You just agree to go to one of these things, and you show up to the building, and you're walking up, and you can just feel the bass, and you're not even inside the building yet, but you can just feel it. Your body is vibrating from the music, and I know immediately I'm not going to enjoy this. And then there's bouncers, and there's a line to get in, and then there's like the cool guy line, and then there's like we're just us. We're just clearly, what are we doing here? And the bouncer doesn't even look at you. It was like straight out of a sitcom, right? They're like completely looking past us. Everybody walking around us to get in, and 3 people were like their friends, because the whole time they're like, we're at capacity, we can't let you in. And I'm like, all right, well, they had a reservation, and I'm also not the guy I'm not starting stuff, right? If this guy won't let me in the next 15 minutes, we're going home. That's my cutoff, right? And this guy, the whole time's like, we're at capacity. I'm like, yeah, but we're with this group. There was a we're old, right? We made reservations. That's what we have to do to get into a club now. If you're in your 30s, right? To get into a place like this, you have to make a reservation. And that's something that you just got to do the older and more uncool you get, okay? I'm not waiting in line. I have Dr. Scholl's in my shoes, okay? I can stand in line, but not for too long. All right. If I didn't have these Dr. Scholl's, I'd be in serious trouble right now. Okay. But it does suck when you got to be like, we have a reservation for this. We want to sit in a corner that's too loud and not hear a word anybody says, and then pay way too much for a Miller Lite. But that's the things you do. That's the things you do, which is why I see no problem in aging. I can't wait to be old, man. I'm really like. When I'm old, God willing, knock on wood here. If this isn't even wood, it's probably like particle board. It's fake wood. It's it's an Amazon desk. Can't be real wood. But, if I'm lucky, I get to be old. I'm talking old, right? I'm gonna start stealing. I think that's it. I'm just gonna walk into any store anywhere and just try and walk out with it. Because what are they gonna do? Tackle me? No, they're just gonna go, hey, you can't take that. And I'm going to go, oh, where am I? I'm lost, because then they'll believe you. You're old. You're just dumb, not dumb, just old. I think that's my plan, though. I'm just going to start stealing stuff and just see what I can get away with. I think that's it. So that's my advice for getting older. So take it or leave it. And thanks for listening. If you were a regular listener before the gap in release dates here, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for not unsubscribing. If you're new, thanks for joining me, and go back and listen to some old stuff while I continue doing these new episodes. Now that I have a nice setup to record in, I think doing these will be a lot easier for me. And now that I have a mortgage, it's not like I'll be moving anytime soon. So I'm kind of stuck here for a little bit, so I may as well make the best of it and set up a new little studio. I think I'm even going to incorporate video to the podcast, which would be a fun project. But for now, we're just going to continue doing audio and see where this goes. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week with another brand new episode.